It's really hard to believe that a whopping 23 days has gone by since the first day of winter. Jan, what does that have to do with the price of fish? Especially since I'm not a huge fan of fish. I'm just saying, let's talk about this and I'll be right back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode on my channel, the Save Money and More with Jan channel. How's everybody doing today? I hope that everybody listening is doing absolutely just fine. I really hope so. I really, really hope so. Okay, now about 23 days, okay, from the time of my recording. Now I have to add, I just realized something. I actually have to add an additional 7 days to that. 30 days. 30 days when you're actually getting to hear this. Okay. 30 days ago, guess what happened? We started gaining a minute of light. Now, if you recall, anybody that's a consistent listener to this channel or viewer, I thank you for it, by the way. Don't forget to smash down the like button while you're here, while you're in the neighborhood. Thank you. You may remember that last year I was talking about how we are losing a minute of light every single day. And that started after June 21. Remember that? All right. Then all of a sudden in December, it's like, what? Especially in this area. I mean, early December, like the time of my birthday, literally, let's say I step out at 4 o'clock to the grocery store. It is still fairly light out. And then by 4:30 in early December, it's dark. It looks like 2 o'clock in the morning. So why am I talking about this? I'll tell you why. Time goes on no matter what. Time goes on. Seasons change, things change. We evolve. Time marches on. Now, many of us really, really, really want to save. Now I'm transitionalizing over to saving. Many of us get so overwhelmed with the big, big, big number that we decided for our goal. And there's nothing wrong with planning a big, big number. Kudos. Kudos. And it may feel a little scary at first, but keep your happy thoughts in mind about achieving the goal. But sometimes getting to that goal could be really overwhelming. Now, why am I comparing this to these minutes that have transpired since? Because little by little, we didn't feel it. Did you feel that an extra minute of light came your way each day since December 21? You didn't notice it? No, most people don't. And the same happens on the flip side of the year. Most people don't realize little by little during the summer months, especially when people are generally outside, jumping around, having fun, whatever, the outdoors kind of thing. People aren't really paying too much attention to the fact that little by little, things are changing. It happens. I mean, it's just like a tiny dose of a change, but the change still happened. So, too, as we were losing the moments of light, and now we are actually, believe it or not, gaining minutes of light. So, I'm recording this, okay, the week prior. I am recording this episode on Monday morning, January 13th. You're listening to this, if you are listening to this on this January 20th, and if you are, I thank you very much considering everything that's going to be on this day. And things change little by little, drip by drip. You could also compare it to a slow leak in a pipe. You could put a bucket there if you have like a little bit of a drip, 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 drip. Well, the earth still goes on. The sun still comes out. Meantime, one little drop, which may seem very insignificant, makes no difference. If left alone for itself, a few days later, maybe even sooner than that, the drip, drip, drip all of a sudden leads into a bucket full of water. And if you don't empty it out quickly, it's going to overflow and make a huge mess. You see where I am going with this. So we could take all of this notice that in small little ways, what's sad is when I speak to people who feel they cannot save. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? It was a bit of a challenge, much more of a challenge in the recent past. Let's be honest here for some people. For some people. But I think a lot of times, I think people lack confidence. I think a lot of times people lack method. People need things sometimes a little bit more chewed up and pre-digested from someone else in order to continue to whatever it is the goal. And that's where the beauty part of having really, really great information at the tap of a finger and look things up. So during this year, okay, this still brand new year, it's only January. And as I said many times in the past, January still comes. January's here, isn't it? And there's lots of things that we have to do in this new year. Am I right? Or am I right? But one of them is to not get intimidated about savings. Another thing is to not take the little wins like, well, it doesn't really matter. Now, that's a big hurdle. Yes, the bird clock. Welcome to the bird clock. Except it's at 5 a.m. Eastern on my time, January 13th. But you're hearing this at another time a week later. All right. Yes, 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 bird clock. But we have to acknowledge that even though things are moving maybe slowly time-wise in certain ways, they're moving bigly in other ways. Okay, and things can change at a moment's notice. Did we not realize that up until recently? I'm sure we kind of realized that, but until it happens, then people really realize that. So I encourage anyone to be okay with you save $10, $20 that week. Yippee. I'm proud of anyone who does that. I'm okay and more than okay with people that track their expenses and look back and say, you know what, I did okay, but I want to do better than okay. And that's great. Remaining motivated, going forward, celebrating the small wins. Sometimes it's better to celebrate the small wins by yourself. Sometimes expressing every little good thing that happens to you, not everybody's going to give you that sense of, yay. No, they're not. Sometimes people, well, for whatever the reason, I wouldn't know the reason, they just don't like to hear it that someone else gets ahead. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it. I've seen it. I think it's awful. I think it's wrong. I always applaud when people have found a wonderful way to get ahead. And getting ahead doesn't have to be this humongous thing. If you saved on purpose $25 in like the last few days by so-called giving up certain things, which were useless anyway, in all probability, I'm just saying, doesn't that feel good to know that you were in control of that? Like the other night, I felt really, really good a couple weeks back when I prepared my dinners in advance and manufactured in my own kitchen on a Saturday night at 9:30, listening to wonderful music. And I made all those trays of food in advance. I assembled them, I packed them in my freezer. And let me tell you something, a couple times recently when I had extremely busy, unexpected phone calls or paperwork that I had to do or idea creation that I had to come up with, let me tell you something. It was a pleasure to know, walk over to the freezer, turn on oven. eat dinner. Hello. It's the little things. So celebrate the small wins. You could even make the small plans. If working with the smaller number makes you feel better, great. Go for it. There's nothing wrong with that because I can guarantee you the following: time doesn't stop. Time waits for no one. During the next few weeks or so, we will be talking about money spending, money keeping, and money growing, usually on a Monday. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everyone's time. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Take good care of yourself and your amazing family.